Charlie was busy in his garage, fixing the plane that his wife Sarah had gifted him on his birthday. As he worked, Sarah walked in and interrupted him, letting him know she was about to leave for a business conference in London. She invited Charlie to join her, but he turned her down, explaining that he had too much work to do. Later, Charlie arrived at the CIA headquarters, where he worked in the decryption and analysis department. On his way to his office, he passed through all the security scanners he himself had created. Once he reached his desk, Charlie got to work. Just as he started, he received a message from Inquilin, a mysterious individual he had been in contact with for years. As always, Inquilin had classified information to sell him, but this time they warned him that the documents might put the CIA in danger. Charlie tried to guess their location and suggested Istanbul, but Inquilin dismissed his guess. Afterward, Charlie worked tirelessly, trying to analyze the material, but even someone as brilliant as him couldn't crack the code. After taking a break for lunch, he returned to his office and received a call from Sarah. She informed him that she had already arrived in London, but Charlie had already known that, as he had been tracking her. They didn't talk much, as Charlie was eager to get back to his work on the mysterious documents. Charlie continued trying to break the code but still couldn't solve it. He decided to take his computer to a more advanced system in a restricted area of the CIA. After some time, he finally managed to access the documents, which left him in shock. The files revealed a major cover-up, a drone strike disguised as a bombing, authorized by none other than Chief Moore, his own boss. The strike had resulted in the deaths of 150 people, including French Special Forces and Danish Marines. Charlie was stunned. The operation had been kept a secret, and the truth was buried deep within the CIA. At home that night, Charlie tried to call Sarah but couldn't reach her. He left a voicemail. The next day, Charlie arrived at the office and was shocked to find Moore waiting for him. Moore took him to the office of O'Brien, the new CIA director. There, they informed Charlie that a terrorist attack had occurred in a hotel in London, and Sarah had been one of the victims. Charlie couldn't believe it. He insisted on calling Sarah, but Moore turned on the TV to show him the news, which confirmed Sarah's death. The report described how 4 terrorists stormed the hotel, took hostages, and killed 2 people. The security footage confirmed that Sarah had been one of the victims. Charlie's world was turned upside down. When he got home, he found a crowd of reporters waiting outside, desperate to interview him. The police were trying to keep the reporters back. A friend of Charlie's helped him get inside without being noticed. The next day, Charlie confronted Moore and Supervisor Caleb, suspicious about the circumstances of the terrorist attack. He couldn't believe that the terrorist had managed to bypass the hundreds of security cameras in London, not to mention the chaos they caused in the city. Moore reassured Charlie that the CIA was investigating, but Caleb told him to go home. The following day, Charlie went to the airport to pick up Sarah's body and her belongings. At home, he opened Sarah's suitcase and found a gift she had bought for him. It broke him down emotionally. Charlie, exhausted and overwhelmed, returned to work. He used the restricted CIA computer to hack into the hotel's security cameras and the surrounding streets. He pieced together a timeline of the attack and showed it to his superiors. He discovered that the 4 terrorists had stolen a vehicle from the East End and entered the hotel through a service entrance, expertly cleaning up all traces of their presence. They had been there for a meeting with impact investments from Indonesia, but something went wrong. An argument broke out in the corridor, and one of the firm's security guards was shot. Hotel security called the police, but the terrorists managed to capture some hostages, including Sarah, who tried to help others escape. Charlie analyzed the footage and used facial recognition to identify the terrorists. Mishka from Moscow, a former South African Special Forces operative named Lawrence, mercenary Horst, and former intelligence officer Gretchen. As Charlie explained all of this to Moore and Caleb, he realized that they had already known about the identities of the terrorists. They told him they were already investigating and sent him off to see a therapist. The next day, Charlie managed to hide a chip inside his ID badge, bypassing the CIA's security scanners. In his office, he printed out all the classified files and used a skimmer to make digital copies. Later that evening, Charlie went to a bar where he kept staring at a jukebox. The next day, he confronted his superiors with the printed files, listing all of Moore's illegal activities, including bombing a hospital in Syria and attacking an allied base in Yemen, which had killed thousands of of civilians. He threatened to expose everything to the press unless the CIA agreed to his terms: full CIA training, fake passports, cash, a gun, and information on Sarah's killers. After the meeting, Charlie felt overwhelmed by the stress and threw up in his car. In the office, Moore brushed off Charlie's threat, calling it a bluff. But Caleb pointed out that they couldn't take that risk. They started investigating how Charlie had copied the files. They discovered that Charlie had bought a magnetic strip from a store and used it on a printer to copy the data. Meanwhile, they also searched Charlie's house and found that he had visited the same bar twice. They checked the security footage from the bar and discovered an ABBA CD that Charlie had left behind. Charlie, meanwhile, was undergoing CIA training at a special facility. He wasn't a great shot, needing to get very close to the target to hit the right spot. However, when it came to making bombs, he impressed his instructor, Colonel Henderson, with his speed and precision. During his training, Henderson pushed Charlie hard to memorize his new identity and stay calm under pressure. The final test was to recite his new information while being harassed. That night, Henderson gave Charlie a gun and asked him to aim it at his chest, testing his ability to kill. Charlie's hands shook, and he lowered the gun, unable to pull the trigger. Back at the CIA office, agents spent hours decrypting the files Charlie had given them, eventually realizing that the dead man's switch he had mentioned was a bluff. They informed their superiors, unaware that Charlie had planted a bug on the files. Moore immediately called Henderson, ordering him to arrest Charlie, but Charlie had already escaped. Moore saw the bug and confronted Charlie, accusing him of treason. Charlie boarded a plane to London, and after going through customs, he made his way to Paris. His fake passport showed up in the CIA's system, so Moore sent Henderson after him. In Paris, Charlie rented a hotel room near a restaurant where Gretchen was known to frequent. He tracked her phone and spent the day waiting for her to leave. When she did, Charlie took the opportunity to break into her apartment and search it. He found a gun in a drawer, decided to keep it, and learned from her schedule that she had been visiting a hospital frequently. The next day, Charlie tracked Gretchen to the hospital, where she was undergoing tests. He disguised himself as a doctor and locked her in a chamber, filling it with pollen to trigger her allergies. He demanded information about Horst, the man who had shot Sarah, but Gretchen was too weak to talk. She struggled with him, but in the end, she managed to escape. Just as Charlie was about to shoot her, Gretchen was hit by a car. Charlie took her phone and left the scene. Later, at the hotel, he discarded his bloody clothes and packed his things. The next morning, he traveled to Marseille, determined to continue his quest for justice. Meanwhile, the news of Gretchen's death reached the CIA, and O'Brien questioned Moore about it. Moore claimed that Gretchen had been killed by one of their own agents. Charlie was drowning in guilt and confusion as he tried to figure out the truth. He went to a bar to drink away his emotions, but when he thought he saw Sarah, he realized it was someone else. Henderson tracked him down to the bar, and Charlie fled, running through the streets until he found a place to hide. There, he revealed to Henderson that he had set a timer on his phone to trigger a bomb. Charlie ran out of the bar, and a bomb exploded in the bathroom. Chaos spread as Henderson lost track of him. The next day, Charlie contacted Inquilin for help and flew to Istanbul. Charlie goes to a restaurant and sends a message to Inquilin. While he's there, he notices a man's phone ringing. Charlie tries to approach him, but a woman blocks his path and tells him to check his phone. After leaving the restaurant, Charlie encounters the woman again, and she confirms that she is Inquilin. She already knows about Sarah, Charlie's wife, and asks him to hide his hat and backpack in a shopping bag. Inquilin explains that they need to pretend to shop for a while and then they'll meet at a garage. Shortly after, they meet again, and Inquilin drives him to her home. During the trip, she shares her story. She became a hacker 6 years ago after her husband died. He had been a CIA asset and worked for Russian intelligence. In fact, he was the original Inquilin and taught her everything she knows. The official story is that he fell from a window accidentally. When they reach her home, Inquilin tells Charlie that this is the only place she stayed longer than 3 years, and she admits she's tired of running. She mentions that if the Russians ever come for her, she has a gun to protect herself. They begin discussing the case. Horst is the leader responsible for hiring mercenaries for Moore. Lawrence is an arms dealer, so Inquilin volunteers to pose as an arms seller to contact him. Then, there's Mishka, who travels frequently and posts everything online. They closely examine the pictures and find a woman with Mishka. Using facial recognition, they trace her Instagram account and confirm she's in Spain. The next day, Caleb tells his team to watch the terrorists closely to find Charlie. O'Brien meets with Moore and tells him that she wants him to stop running Black Ops operations without her approval. Moore responds that her predecessor told him the same thing, and he gives her the same answer. He has her full support. After the meeting, O'Brien gets into her car, and her assistant shows her a picture of Henderson in Spain. It's confirmed that Moore sent him, so O'Brien sends one of her own agents after him. Meanwhile, Charlie and Inquilin track Mishka's movements by hacking into the hotel's security cameras. Charlie travels to Madrid and stays at the same hotel, where he learns that Mishka likes swimming in the pool that connects two buildings. At the same time, Henderson is tracking Charlie in the area. The next day, Charlie begins building a device to help him catch Mishka and hides it inside the hotel. Later, he follows Mishka to the bar, unaware that Henderson is also in the lobby. Charlie notices a suspicious man at the bar and realizes that he's being followed. He informs Inquilin through his earpiece, and she checks the man's face, confirming he's a CIA agent. She also spots Henderson on the camera and warns Charlie to abort, but Charlie decides to stick to the plan. When Mishka goes to the pool, Charlie confronts him and demands to know where to find Horst. He threatens to destroy the pool if Mishka doesn't cooperate. Mishka doesn't believe him and swims away, but Charlie presses a button, and the glass starts to crack. Mishka, now desperate, swims faster, but it's too late. The glass shatters, and he falls to his death, causing water to flood the street. Inquilin alerts Charlie that Henderson and another agent are getting closer, and she gives him directions to escape. A chase begins, with Henderson almost catching Charlie, but at that moment, the other agent attacks. The two men start fighting in the laundry room. Charlie watches as they throw each other around the room, and Henderson eventually puts the man's head in a washing machine. The agent pulls out a gun and shoots Henderson, but Henderson steals the gun and shoots back. Charlie watches, unsure if he should intervene, but Inquilin reminds him to run away. The next day, O'Brien brings Moore to her office and asks about Charlie. Moore says that Charlie is on bereavement leave, and she lets him go. However, she reveals that she has footage from the hotel. Meanwhile, Caleb and his team review the footage and realize that Charlie had help. They examine Charlie's encrypted chats and eventually find messages from Inquilin. After a long search, they discover the file of the dead agent known as Inquilin and deduce that his wife must have taken over. That night, Charlie and Inquilin agree to sleep next to each other, just for company. However, they are woken up by Inquilin's birds screeching, and they see agents approaching on the security cameras. The duo quickly runs through a hidden tunnel in the wall, and as they make their way out, Charlie sees a drone in the sky. They sneak into another building and manage to escape the neighborhood just before the agents storm into the house. The computer begins deleting all the files, leaving nothing behind for the agents. After running down the beach, they reach Inquilin's car and are spotted by the drone. Soon, agents begin chasing them, firing their guns, and even following them in a boat. After a long chase, the agents manage to damage the car enough to stop it, and Inquilin is mortally wounded. Charlie has no choice but to push her to the other seat and take control of the car, driving until he finally loses the agents. Later, he leaves the car in the garage and gives Inquilin a final kiss goodbye. The next day, Charlie contacts Lawrence, pretending to be an arms dealer, and arranges a meeting. Charlie buys new electronics and travels to Romania. In an abandoned building, he records his own face and hacks a security feed in Berlin. The CIA now thinks he's in Berlin and sends agents there. When Lawrence finally arrives, he finds a ringing phone on a chair. Charlie instructs him to look inside a box, where Lawrence finds several bombs. If he moves, they will detonate. As Lawrence notices a picture of Sarah in the box, Charlie appears behind him, asking for Horst's location and promising to deactivate the bombs if Lawrence cooperates. Lawrence explains that Horst operates in Russian waters and typically receives deliveries at a Baltic seaport. Charlie asks how to contact Horst, and Lawrence reveals that Horst only receives messages through secret codes from his men. Lawrence tosses his phone to the ground, which Charlie grabs. Afterward, he hears the bombs going off, killing Lawrence in the next room. Soon, the CIA learns about Lawrence's death in Romania and realizes they've been looking at fake footage. Later, in a Russian hotel, Charlie imagines Sarah with him and opens a gift she had given him. It's a puzzle, which he solves quickly and finds a sweet message from Sarah inside. The next morning, Charlie goes to the port and sees a suspicious vehicle. He sends the code to Horace Men and sees someone by the suspicious car checking their phone. Charlie follows the man and takes pictures of the boat before leaving. After buying some tools, Charlie returns to the hotel and tracks the yacht that the boat belongs to by searching its registration number. He also studies the sea routes Horst might be using. The next morning, Charlie approaches the boat but is knocked out from behind, causing him to drop Sarah's puzzle. Charlie is taken aboard the yacht, where he finally meets Horst, who has found the bomb Charlie had hidden earlier. Horst notices that Charlie killed the others indirectly and doesn't think he's capable of doing it face to face. He hands Charlie a gun and asks him to kill him, but Charlie can't and puts the gun down. Suddenly, the yacht starts turning in the opposite direction, and the crew panics. Charlie reveals he's taken control of the yacht, which is CIA administered. Since he worked on the protocols that protect the yacht, it was easy for him to hack into it and redirect it to Finland. Soon, the yacht is surrounded by the Finnish Navy and Interpol, who arrest Horst and his men. Sometime later, O'Brien holds a press conference announcing that all the corrupt agents using the CIA's resources for illegal activities have been arrested. Charlie is approached by Henderson, who tells him he's proud of what Charlie has done. After visiting Sarah's grave, Charlie goes home and finally takes the plane for a ride.